Sunday. You can call it a lazy Sunday. That works. I'm going to do a few shows for today because there's news that's coming out on the weekend or close to the weekend that I want to talk about before tomorrow, meaning I want to get a head start on it. So let's talk Brexit. BREXIT Meltdown is not necessarily a bad way to describe it. BREXIT Meltdown is probably apt and maybe one of the best adjectives you can use to describe what is taking place right now in the UK. This is absolutely fascinating, and if people haven't been paying attention, they should pay attention to this. This is going to reshape and redefine what Europe looks like in the relationship between the UK and Europe, not to mention what the UK is going to look like going for the next several decades. And despite that being absolutely true, no one knows still what Brexit means, and that's kind of where we are. Theresa May, as you remember, had her third withdrawal bill voted down on the day to which they were supposed to actually be leaving the European Union. Theresa May has said through this process that she has read lines. She has said through this process, we're leaving on this date. They did not leave on that date. She said that she was going to bring a withdrawal bill up. She did not bring it up the very first time because she knew it was going to get voted down. And when she did bring it up, it was voted down in historic numbers, literally historic numbers. The next time she brought the withdrawal bill up, it was voted down again. The third time she brought it up, she didn't even bring up the entirety of the deal. She was just bringing up the disassociation between the UK and the European Union without having any idea on the framework for the relationship after leaving. Think of it as, I'm moving out of this house, but I have no idea where I'm going to move to or the living situation to which I am going to end up in. And they voted it down. She's offered her head, take my head, in exchange for passing this bill. She's thrown herself on her own sword and missed, because even after giving that declaration of, I will end my prime ministership, just get it over the finish line, they still have told her no. Parliament, for its part, has started to assert more control over the Brexit process, having indicative votes, which is one thing, forcing the idea of a meaningful vote, and essentially they're trying to shape the Brexit process in lieu of the prime minister not being able to get a deal through. All of the indicative votes that Parliament has set up has failed. So that process didn't even work. Jeremy Corbyn has been looking for a customs union type relationship between the European Union. That is sound, from what I understand, at least listening to the European Union, like people like Tusk, that sounds more apt to something that the European Union is looking for and they can get into a relationship with. But Theresa May's deal, no takers. Interesting bit of news that took place over the weekend. Theresa May is trying for a fourth vote. A fourth vote. Now, Bercow has made the point that the bills have to be different. You can't have Parliament continuously voting on the same bill over and over and over and over again. What's the point of the vote if the vote is being taken until it gets the Prime Minister's bill over the finish line? The Prime Minister is taking this tact of understanding that Parliament doesn't want a no-deal Brexit. Parliament has voted for no-deal Brexit. Problem is, you can't just vote for no-deal Brexit. You have to actually make a deal in order to prevent a no-deal Brexit. You can't necessarily just say, can't assert a no-deal Brexit. It has to be something you negotiate on. The Prime Minister knows the Parliament has no appetite for a no-deal Brexit. So the Prime Minister has been using the no-deal Brexit as a way to try to bully the Parliament into voting for this deal. It's my deal or no deal, my deal or no deal. And using that, over the course of the last few withdrawal bills, she's come up with a new strategy. And her party is pissed off at her because she's come up with this strategy. Prime Minister Corbyn. I'm going to call this Operation Prime Minister Corbyn. Theresa May has essentially said, I want a fourth vote. I want a fourth vote. Now, I don't know the means to which she's going to get this fourth vote, because Bercow has said that the bills that you bring up have to be substantively different than the previous bills. So you can't just keep bringing the same bill up over and over again. So I don't know what she's going to do to the bill to make it different. That's the first point. The second point is, after being voted down that much, how do you bring up a fourth bill? How do you have the guts, the nerve to bring up a fourth bill? But whatever. She's trying to get this bill over the finish line. She said, look, if I can't bring this withdrawal bill up, or if this is voted down again, I have no other recourse. There's nothing else I can do but have a snap election. Now, she said before that we've reached the limits of what this parliamentary body can do. And maybe she's right on this point. And if they've reached the limits of the parliamentary body, you're either going to have another referendum, which, if I'm not mistaken, she's ruled out, or snap election. The string that she's pulling is a snap election. Now, what she knows is this. The Tories, if they have an election today, will get slaughtered. Slaughtered. Absolutely and entirely slaughtered. But she knows that. She knows that. She also knows that the other Tories know it. And she also knows that many of those part of the ERG group, the Brexiteer group, are terrified of this notion of a Prime Minister, Jeremy Corbyn. And they have a very good chance of getting that Prime Minister, Jeremy Corbyn, if they have a snap election. Theresa May knows this. She's doing this to try to motivate the people to vote for this bill. You could say even force or bully the people to vote for her bill that is entirely unpopular by the public, but also dramatically unpopular in Parliament. Her own party is saying, we will vote you down. We are not going to allow you to call a snap election in this process. Take a listen to this, because this gives a little bit of leeway into her thinking when she gets voted down in this last process. Let's take a look. Let's start here. Let's start here. Why don't we start? There we go. This is immediately after the vote was taken for the withdrawal bill. Listen to Theresa May. Theresa May is going to interject and give her
Order!
Order! I love that. God, I love that. I'm sorry, I love that. Let me do this thing.
The ayes to the right, 286. The noes to the left, 344.
The ayes to the right, 286. The noes to the left, 344. So the noes have it, the noes have it. Unlock. Point of order, the Prime Minister.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think it should be a matter of profound regret to every member of this House that once again we have been unable to support leaving the European Union in an orderly fashion. The implications of the House's decision are grave. The legal default now is that the United Kingdom is due to leave the European Union on the 12th of April, in just 14 days' time. That is not enough time to agree, legislate for and ratify a deal, and yet the House has been clear it will not permit leaving without a deal. And so we will have to agree an alternative way forward. The European Union has been clear that any further extension will need to have a clear purpose and will need to be agreed unanimously by the heads of the other 27 member states ahead of the 12th of April. It is almost certain to involve the United Kingdom being required to hold European parliamentary elections. On Monday, this House will continue the process to see if there is a stable majority for a particular alternative version of our future relationship with the EU. Of course, all of the options will require the withdrawal agreement. Mr. Speaker, I fear we are reaching the limits of this process in this House. This House has rejected no deal. It has rejected no Brexit. On Wednesday, it rejected all the variations of the deal on the table. And today, it has rejected approving the withdrawal agreement alone and continuing a process on the future. This government will continue to press the case for the orderly Brexit that the result of the referendum demands.
It does demand a Brexit, and it does demand an orderly one, but that does not necessarily mean that people have to automatically take your deal. There's a difference. She made her point. We've reached the limits of what we can do in this parliamentary body. There's no majority for my bill. I mean, for this bill, clearly. And I'm not going to bring any other bill. So we've reached the limits of what we're going to be able to do in this body. There was something else. Oh, turncoats. So, as you know, there's some members of Labour that has jumped ship and has joined a conservative, this kind of intermediary party, essentially a no Brexit party. And so Tom Watson has come out saying that he'd be willing to serve in a conservative government, if it didn't go along with the idea of Brexit. Turncoats. These people out here, turncoats. But nevertheless, yeah, bring on the snap election. That's exactly what should take place. throw it back to the public itself to let the public decide on what the public wants to do. Does it want a plan like Corbyn's, or does it want a plan like May's? And if May is put back in that office with her majorities, she would get her Brexit. If she is not, then Corbyn would get the opportunity with a mandate in order to apply the way he wants to go with Brexit. So I was fascinated. Like I said, I've covered this for a while, for the past 2 or 3 years. And I've been fascinated by the entirety of this process. So I'm not going to keep this one because these are videos that I just want to get across what's taking place in kind of this quick snapshot update. All right, guys, if you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support through PayPal or Patreon. That gets you extra content. We put extra content up on Patreon each week. We would be doing it today if Mrs. Thomas was feeling a little bit better. However, we will get to it tomorrow, so either way, it's still going to go up. And I'll end here. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.